Alright, let's dive into the Queen's Gambit, the series that turned chess into the coolest game on the planet. Whether you need a refresher or just want to know what went down, here's everything that happened. Let's go! We start in the 1950s with Beth Harmon, a young girl who survives a car crash that kills her mother. She's sent to an orphanage where the kids are given daily tranquilizer pills to keep them calm. Beth quickly develops a dependency on them, realizing they help her visualize chess moves in her head. While cleaning erasers in the basement, she discovers the janitor, Mr. Shaibel, playing chess. She watches silently until she convinces him to teach her the game. At first, he's reluctant, but once he sees her raw talent, he starts training her seriously. She learns fast, memorizing moves from books and replaying games in her mind at night, usually while high on the orphanage's pills. One day, Mr. Shaibel invites the local high school's chess club coach, who arranges for Beth to play against his entire team simultaneously. Despite never playing in an actual match before, she crushes them all, proving she's a natural. She begins dreaming of competitive chess, but just as she's gaining momentum, the government bans tranquilizers for children. Beth, now addicted, goes into withdrawal and collapses in the middle of a school event. She's dragged away, humiliated, and from that moment she associates the pills with her ability to play chess. This sets up her lifelong struggle between her talent and her addictions. Years later, Beth, now a teenager, gets adopted by Alma and Alston Wheatley, a dysfunctional married couple from Kentucky. Alston is cold and distant, barely acknowledging Beth's existence, while Alma, struggling with alcoholism and depression, shows more interest but is emotionally unstable. Beth starts attending high school where she feels out of place. She quickly realizes her classmates are more interested in fashion and boys, while she's focused on chess. She also struggles with withdrawal from the tranquilizers she relied on at the orphanage. One day, she secretly steals some pills, regaining the mental clarity she associates with chess. She convinces Alma to let her enter a local chess tournament, despite never having played in an official competition. The male-dominated chess world doesn't take her seriously, until she starts crushing every opponent, including the tournament's best player, Harry Beltic. Beth wins the entire competition with ease, stunning everyone, and earning her first chess rating. As she returns home victorious, she finds Alma suddenly taking an interest in her chess skills, realizing it could be a source of money and prestige. Meanwhile, Alston abandons them, leaving Alma and Beth to fend for themselves. Alma leans on Beth emotionally and financially, encouraging her to enter more tournaments for the prize money. Beth, now realizing she has a way to escape her dull life, begins planning her next moves in the chess world. Beth heads to compete in the US Chess Championship in Cincinnati, and the competition is tough. She's up against some of the best players in the country, and the stakes are much higher than before. Beth's chess skills are on full display, but her addiction to tranquilizers is still a big issue. She sneaks pills to stay calm, but they start affecting her focus. Despite this, she keeps playing well, and her talent shines through. While at the tournament, Beth faces off against Benny Watts for the first time. Benny is confident, experienced, and a bit cocky, but he's also impressed by Beth's skills. They play a game, and Beth ends up losing to him. This loss stings, but it's a turning point for her. Benny becomes an important figure in Beth's life, both as a rival and someone who can challenge her to be better. Their relationship is complicated, competitive yet respectful, and Benny starts to teach her new strategies and push her further. Beth makes it to the finals of the tournament, where her chess journey continues. But the loss to Benny is a wake-up call. She realizes there's a lot she still needs to work on, and it sets the stage for her to step up her game. Beth's chess career continues to soar as she competes in national and international tournaments, racking up wins and prize money. She's becoming a rising star in the chess world, but her personal life is starting to spiral. Her drinking worsens, and her dependency on tranquilizers remains. Meanwhile, Alma fully embraces the life of a chess manager, accompanying Beth on trips and enjoying the luxuries that come with her success. Beth travels to Mexico City for her next major tournament, where she crosses paths with Vasily Borgov. In the tournament, Beth has some big wins, and her skills impress the other players. She defeats several tough opponents and earns the respect of those around her. But when she faces Borgov, she's pushed to her limits. It's an intense match, and while Beth plays brilliantly, she ultimately loses to him. This loss is a major blow, but it's also a valuable learning experience, showing her just how much she still has to grow. Crushed, Beth returns to her hotel room, only to face an even bigger shock. Alma has died in her sleep from hepatitis complications, likely exacerbated by her alcoholism. Beth is devastated, but doesn't know how to process the loss. She calls Alston to inform him of his wife's death. He tells Beth she can have the house if she pays the mortgage. Beth moves into her own place, finally living independently. With Alma gone, she takes full control of her career and finances, using her tournament winnings to create a comfortable life. She redecorates, buys fancy clothes, and enjoys her new freedom, but she's also drinking more and relying on tranquilizers to cope. She then travels to Las Vegas for the US Open, where she reunites with Benny Watts. Benny is cocky as ever, but he respects Beth's talent. They talk about chess, strategy, and even speed chess, which Benny excels at. They eventually play a few speed chess matches, and Benny beats her repeatedly. Beth is frustrated, but she hides it. At the tournament, Beth dominates her games and makes it to the final round. Her last opponent is Benny. This time, it's serious. She wants to prove she's better than him. The match is intense, and Benny plays aggressively, forcing Beth into difficult positions. Despite her skill, she struggles against him, and in the end, Benny wins. It's a crushing defeat. After the match, Benny offers to train Beth, telling her she needs to improve if she wants to take on Borgov. He invites her to New York to study with him, and Beth, still stung by her loss, agrees. She knows she has to get better, and Benny is one of the few people who can push her to that next level. Beth moves to New York to train with Benny Watts. She stays in his cramped apartment where chess books and boards are everywhere. Benny is strict. He pushes Beth to think deeper about her moves, forces her to play speed chess against him and his friends, and even makes her study past Grandmaster games. Beth struggles at first, but she improves quickly. Benny also gets Beth to cut back on drinking and pills, telling her she needs a clear mind to beat Borgov. She listens, for now. After weeks of training, Beth heads to Paris for another major tournament. This is her second chance at facing Borgov, and she's more prepared than before. She breezes through the early rounds, impressing everyone with her aggressive style. Before the final match, instead of resting, Beth makes a mistake. She drinks heavily, takes pills, and loses focus. The next day, hungover and unfocused, she faces Borgov. The match is brutal. Borgov stays calm, controls the game, and slowly breaks her down. Beth tries to fight back, but she's too sluggish. In the end, she loses again. Beth is spiraling. After losing to Borgov in Paris, she pushes away Benny and drowns herself in alcohol, pills, and partying. She stops training, isolates herself, and wastes money on luxuries. Her chess career is slipping, but she doesn't seem to care. Until Jolene, her old friend from the orphanage, shows up. Jolene is direct. She sees Beth's downward spiral and calls her out. But she's not just there for Beth. Mr. Shaibel, the janitor who first taught Beth chess, has passed away. Together they return to Methuen home for his funeral. At the orphanage, Beth is hit with memories. She finds a wall covered in newspaper clippings about her victories. Mr. Shaibel had been following her success all along. It's a wake-up call. She realizes she's been wasting her potential. With Jolene's support, Beth sobers up, refocuses, and prepares for the biggest challenge of her life, the Moscow Invitational, where she'll face Borgov again. But she's doing it differently this time. No pills, no alcohol, just her mind. In Moscow, Beth fights her way through tough Russian players, earning the respect of the chess world. Then, it all comes down to the final match, Beth versus Borgov. The game is tense, but Beth is different now. She stays calm, plays patiently, and makes daring moves. In the end, she wins. She finally beats Borgov, and after the tournament, she ignores her flight home and instead takes a walk through Moscow. She comes across a park where elderly men are playing chess. They recognize her and invite her to play. She smiles, sits down, and makes her first move. No cameras, no pressure, just pure love for the game. When Beth chooses to stay in Moscow and play chess with the local players instead of rushing back to the fame and adoration of the United States, it signifies that she no longer seeks validation from others or needs to prove herself. Her time in Russia allows her to engage with chess purely as a passion, free from the pressures and expectations she once faced. The series ends on a hopeful note, showing that while she's achieved greatness in chess, the real victory is in her personal transformation and the realization that her worth isn't defined solely by her success in the game, but by her ability to connect with others and find peace within herself. As she embraces her future, free from the weight of her past, we're left wondering, can true happiness be found when we let go of the need for constant validation? What do you think? Leave a comment down below.